Okay, so hi everybody, thank you very much for coming to this presentation. And this workshop is a part of making your consulting case competition, which is run by BH, the organizations that I developed for helping newcomers to the market to establish their space in a professional market of their choice, and Western Case Writers Association. And yes, the cases, consulting cases that will become finalists of this competition will be invited for publication in the case of research and inquiry. As I mentioned, this is the second part, because the first part was almost a month ago, and I did it in summer for instructors with the goal to help those instructors who want to include making your consulting case in their courses, so students can become case authors together with the faculty, can start doing this in a fall semester. But as it was promised at the very beginning, workshop number 2 is for anybody who wants to write consulting case. And this might be graduate students, this might be instructors, this might be practitioners. And a little bit about me. So as I said, that my name is Julia Ivy, and I currently work as executive professor in strategy and international business at Northeastern University. I have my 2 PhDs, one in psychology and one in management, and I put them as a background for my idea of applying the new market entry strategy, which is my strategy part, to individuals interested in establishing their presence as professionals in the new market. For the last 10 years, I already practiced every single tool from this journey of a newcomer's journey. And now I title this as a BH Center for Global Talents, as an employability crafting ecosystem for the future of work. And this BH Center for Global Talents has 4 steps, as you can see. And people start with establishing their own strategy, just pure strategy work. Then they clarify their strategy through making specifically selected cases for other customers, which they don't meet yet face-to-face, but they're all real companies from the areas of their interest. And the step number 2 is when they still kind of building their muscles, as I call, go to gym and try to build their muscles as future experts in the area of their next move. And step number 3, it's making your consulting case, where they meet the clients of their choice, like real clients, real choice, and they meet face-to-face or virtually, and they make their cases for these clients. And this is where we are right now. I started doing this competition just for my college in 2012. Then I moved to another college and I included to my courses, any courses what I am teaching in strategy and international business. And again, when I worked for the previous college, it was a competition, the college-wide. So by up to date, we have making your consulting case made by 800 plus master students and professors and practitioners. Right now on my belt, it's 240 plus consulting cases made for organizations in 23 countries. And we were lucky and happy to have many awards in this area, including the global awards on the cases, etc. But I always told to whoever did my these cases together with me that it's not just about making cases for the sake of cases. because there are so many cases already available. This must be a strategic effort of whoever the author of case is, to invest in their own employability for the next move to the market. For instance, all of us here, we know that we're already good as, let's say, professor. I know that as a professor of strategy and international business, I know what I am doing. But if I want to establish my presence, for instance, in consulting area where I'm not yet well known, this is the best instrument to enter the market and establish your presence. And through doing all this, 240 plus cases, and working with my students, and again, practitioners from Belarus, from Ukraine, from around the world, I just became kind of tired to repeat the same instructions again and again. So I published the book, Crafting Your Edge for Today's Job Market, as a workbook of how to write consulting cases and how to use them as investment in your employability. That's why you will see the picture of the book in some slides, which means that exactly the same information you can find there, but much more detailed. So, big picture of making your consulting case. The whole idea that E plus D plus G plus E, H, these are 4 steps. In each of them, we invest in our employability. On the first step, you see, so the yellow picture, it's case consultants. We define first that who we are, as you see, step number 1, and we reach out the client and asking for their challenge. And in this case, we already have a match. We clarify who we are, we sharpen our message that I am multidimensional, I'm not just professional in this area or that area, but I'm also originally from that country and I envision myself here and there. So however we define ourselves, we have a luxury to define ourselves as multidimensional, as an expert. And if it matches with the challenge, the company has a challenge which matches my area of expertise, this is the first match, and this is our investment to personal capital as elucidating our core and selecting our case. In our competition, we are done already with this because you all submitted your case proposals as a first deliverable, and they're all amazing. Then second step, because we are newcomers at that market, because they don't know yet us, our next step is developing trust. Developing trust through us, learning about the company, learning their language, learning their frames and problems, and telling their storytelling. But for the company, it's sharing their story and opening their heart for us. And of course, at the end, as an outcome, it's a contribution to our social capital in this market. Once again, we want to establish ourselves here. And for the clients, saying that it's our case, our company, and the vibe of us being together. Only after this, we move to the next step. And yes, we do write our consulting report, not for the sake of consulting report, not for the sake of using this, I don't know, as a teaching manual, but the sake of proving that we are ready and capable and powerful to generate value for the market of our choice. And again, in the yellow picture, you see that I offer my multi-dimensional background to generate value for the company, and the company very much values this multi-dimensional solution. And of course, the last stage is the E stage, is excitement, especially that's why competition is so important, because if your case becomes the winner of the competition, it will be a shared joy, shared pride for the company and their brand, and for you as a powerful problem solver, as a consultant. So this is the idea of how we invest in our employability, and the outcome is a BE boutique employability, because we are in control and we are multi-dimensional, because we refuse to be defined by one dimension. We want to be defined by several dimensions, and this is what makes us the choice of one of this company. And of course, I learned this technique through my own experience of trials and errors as a newcomer. As you hear my accent, I moved to the United States at the age of 35, 36. And it was great, right? To establish yourself, not having a good, my English was much worse than it's right now. And I was total newcomer, believing that I was amazing, but I was the only one who believed this. And just started doing cases for the companies just for the sake of publication. I was shocked how many doors it opened for me and how fast it helped me to establish my presence in the new, at that time, American market as a problem solver in this field of strategy and international business. Okay, so now we come to the cases, right? So what is consulting case? So I don't see your, okay, chat. Okay. So we all, again, I did read your case proposals, and I can see that you are quite experienced case writers, but most of us were writing teaching cases, because this is what most popular, I would say, in academia. There are three types of cases: descriptive cases, teaching cases, and consulting cases. And we professors usually write teaching cases. So there are many similarities, of course, between teaching cases and consulting cases. And this slide is about how to use our experience for this new type of case. It's, of course, it's a short story, both of them. Both of them are very much a particular decision-making episode, or it might be legal confrontations, but again, it always must be a specific country, specific company, specific manager, specific authority, and it must be a particular time. That's why both taking cases and consulting cases are written in a past tense to make sure that I see that our destroy because I have no idea why and what. Just tested this before. So can I go through, or I should start recording and start again? Please tell me. Recording is on. Okay, I will keep working. If it would be horrible recording, I will re-record this by myself and send it to the new records. I promise. Okay, so now let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. And again, the same teaching cases, consulting cases must have a specific protagonist, case, client. It must be based on a real event and our research, and be engaging, not easy to solve, and facilitate thinking and learning. Once again, I use it a lot in my master programs, and sometimes I even experiment in undergrad. And I have my partners around the world who I write cases with and who I help to write cases. And I tell them that if the decision is easy and the actions and the considerations are obvious, you do not prove your value. You do not establish yourself as a professional, because it's like, yeah, I know already what to do. We want very complicated dilemma or problem where we prove that we are the ones who are solving the case. Okay, so I see that I cannot make your comments. Okay, I start recording and I start sharing right now. I pause because if it's a bad audio.
It's just really hard to hear you right now, Julia. It's very choppy coming through.
It is not at all audible to me.
Yeah, I can't make out what you're saying.
It's the first time in my, okay,
It's
if I sit closer.
Do you have a different microphone?
I do.
I think it is more
I
an
just
internet
used it when
issue.
I was recording. So you cannot even make what I'm speaking about, right? So it's just waste of time.
Clear right now. Sometimes clear, sometimes not.
I think it is an internet
Okay,
issue.
now it's better.
Connectivity is a problem.
Really? Okay, I am checking my connectability. We are not recording right now, so I'm okay.
Yeah, now it is better. Now it is
Speed.
better.
Oh, maybe because it was standing on the book and it was kind of resonating. So now it's better right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we
Yes.
continue
Yes.
or
Better.
not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is better
Okay,
now.
cool.
Much better.
My for photorealism to make it a better angle of me, but I guess it was wrong. Okay, so how it's so far? Is it interesting? Is it useful? How do you think? So far it's so good?
Yeah, so far so good, but I think moving
Okay.
into that difference between a teaching case versus a consulting case is kind of where we left off.
Okay, yeah, it's exactly where, okay, I am continue from the same slide and I will, restart recording, okay? So share, screen, share, and recording. Okay, and now we are again recording. So teaching cases versus consulting say similarities. What is the different? What is the different? The first, why we author them. I guess I already answered the question why we write consulting cases, and we all know why we write teaching cases to improve teaching and scholarship for teaching, scholarship of teaching to have our record of publication. And yes, when I was applying for my tenure, it was very, very useful to have consulting, teaching cases published in a nice journal. And one of my teaching cases actually was published in Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice, which is a top journal, and it helped. It helped. So who is the target audience? Of course, for teaching cases, we do write for students. We think about students, we communicate this clearly for students, and we give them enough data to solve the case here because they don't know this company, they don't know the information or anything. We help them. And in our instructor manual, we want to sound like as academics. This is the point. This is the point. In consulting case, we communicate to the case client and to the industry because it becomes part of our portfolio. And in my experience, case clients also use my cases after this as for their own teaching, for their own corporate training, and also for assessment. This was a surprise for me when one of the companies said like, oh my God, this is a great example of the challenge that I want my, for instance, managers were able to solve and show me how they're able to show this. So they use it for their assessment center, but I use also for my for communicating with industry and professional conferences, for kind of sharing the story when I talk with professionals that yes, I did my consulting case for this company, for that company, and it always sounds very appealing. And again, I establish my presence. And how we use them, again, everybody knows about teaching cases and consulting for professional image, our own professional image, for professional portfolio as a consulting portfolio, and also for academic publication records. Thank you so much for Journal of Case Research and Inquiry to opening this new kind of opportunity for us to publish our consulting cases, and I am proud to be instrumental of helping this. So we kind of can kill both birds, to have industry publications and have our academic publication. But it's only recent, only the only journal, which academic journal, which publishes consulting cases right now, it's our beloved Journal of Case Research and Inquiry. So, coming to what exactly we do, 4 stages. We are done with case proposal, as I said, and now we focus on company case, and then consulting report or consulting manual, as it's sometimes called, and then deliverable, how we deliver our case. And as I said, you will see this picture again and again. It's not because I'm selling this. Please feel free to use it, 1 copy for your library, and then everybody can use PDF from your library. But because everything what I said already there with instructions, coaching sessions, examples, etc., etc. I'm very much passionate to make this as a mainstream and available for everybody. Okay, before I moved to the company, to the green area, any question? Right now, I look at your chat and I see any questions. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so today I focused mostly on company case and consulting case and consulting report. The company case, as I said, our goal is developing trust, is proving that we are not somebody out of touch academia, like somebody who use the same cases of Harvard Business Review of 10 years old again and again, and just using the same frameworks again and again. No, we are real thing. We working with the companies right now, with the real clients, and we understand what's going on. So there are 2 types of trust we develop. It's a personal trust and our goal to connecting with the company and its people, and professional trust to establish in a wider spectrum of industry and local market, especially when we live, for instance, in California or Boston, as I live, and I write case about the market which is separate than mine. How do I prove that I understand the logic, the local specifics, kind of like local nuances? And this is what we are doing here. The whole idea of developing trust. Oh, sorry. Oh, overview. Okay, rubrics. And so rubrics. There are 3 rubrics of understanding is a good case or bad case. And at the end, I will have this slide again of overview. And the first rubric will be the focus of the case. It must be very sharpened. Unlike, for instance, descriptive cases, we want to show that this is very specific challenge and very sharpened focus of the case, and we are good in this. And this is very because we want exactly to do the same in teaching cases. How we do this? We start with the challenge, and the challenge must be 5 W's, and it's already help us to narrow and focus this case. Unlike writing the case about big issue, become big discussions. No. We want to focus one specific challenge that we are working on. And in my own way, I divided all the challenges in 3 types: the challenge problem, the challenge dilemma, or the challenge project. When the challenge problem, it's like when the case client knows that she has a problem, for instance, low revenue or high competition, or for some reason quality of service the company provides, it's dropping like on her watch. And she just doesn't know what to do. This is a case problem. We have a problem, but it's totally open for any solutions. Challenge dilemma, it's where the client already did some homework and they have two options under considerations. It's very popular for international business of market entry projects, like where my company would move next, to Indonesia or Malaysia. This is a challenge dilemma. Or should I hire this candidate or that candidate? Or actually any area of expertise, it would be dilemma of 2-3 options under considerations. This is a challenge dilemma. And challenge project is the easiest one. It's what it's like marketing plan, management plan. It's like how to get from point A to point B. It's the most straightforward, most linear, and of course the easiest one to do. And very, very, very important for us to know what challenge we are working on. I usually don't define this in the challenge in the first paragraph, like I'm working, this is a challenge dilemma, but I kind of send the signal of what kind of challenge is this. So the client understand what I am going to work on and agree or disagree with this focus. Also, and you can see the picture right here, that we have the challenge at the beginning, and then of course, background of the company, then situation, and the decision what has to be made. So the situation is a second component where we work on the focus of the case. And here we put the chain of events before, what happened before to the challenge, and what has been done, and clients' expectations and boundaries. And of course, we finish this with a closing hook of what information we have in hand and what the question we want to answer for the client. So the first rubric of the case, focus of the case, it's at the beginning and at the end. You see, it's frames the company case from the beginning to the end. And it's all about developing personal trust with the client. So again, the structure of the case, the challenge, the company background, industry background, market background, situation, and decision to make. And this slide just show us the second rubric of the quality of data. And I included here the data we actually need. So, of course, the case by case are very different, and strategy case would be more about industry and market. Obviously, if it will be more inside organization data, we will need less market specific. But in this or that case, we still somehow put all this information here. And I show what the information we need. As you see, the circles here, light green is when we develop personal trust, and it's more kind of like we're really trying to understand the client. And this data comes from the client for the challenge, for the background of the company, for the situation, and for decision to make. It comes from the client. However, the industry and market data, this is where we work independently from the client. And I always advise people who I work with, do not even get information about the industry and market from the client, but instead own homework. Because at the end of the case, at the end of the day, we want to prove that it's us who have this, who are professional, smart, we know the industry, and we kind of impress our clients with this data. And you know all this, how we can get data, and it's all here. Okay, I move forward because again, writing the case is very similar for cases, teaching cases and consulting cases. And we write the case. When we write in the case, we also change our kind of voice. We start with the company, with a challenge, and it's opening hook. It's designed to capture the reader attention and place it in the middle of the company story. And we see, so it's my advice, 1-2 paragraphs. Again, if you wrote the cases, you know this. Then we change our head and we become more kind of data boring people. And we include as much data as possible, much more visual as possible. And it's written in very concise technical style to provide the context of the challenge. And the background is the largest part of the case, around 80%. And it's usually includes the company, industry, and local market in any order and in any proportion what you believe it's relevant for your case. Then, of course, we again change the head back to our storytellers and we write about situation and decision to make. Again, we are more of with the client and we want to show how complicated the story is, but also how much client already did. The client I found, actually yesterday I worked with a client and the client wanted to be very, very clear that she already did a lot. And she doesn't want me to present that like, oh, she's just a drama person, doesn't know what to do. No, she wanted me to show how much is already done. So I can start from there. And of course, at the end, always we have reference exhibits as much as possible. And here again, professional trust. You see, personal trust, professional, personal, professional. Everything what is personal is more storytelling. And everything what is professional, it's more kind of dry language. And yes, we write everything in past tense to make sure that the case positioned at the time when the challenge happens, because by the time of publication, the situation can be changed, and then the case might look irrelevant, and we don't want this. And best example why, for instance, even the market data, we write the location data, we write in past tense. I give example of the country where my mom lives, Ukraine, and it's very different story, like Crimea. Is it Ukrainian territory, Russian territory, nobody's territory? We don't know, but when that we write the case, we write whatever we have at the moment. So, and this is the overview, like now it's at the end, you see the structure here, the challenge, background, company, industry, local specific, the situation and decision to make. And now you see that rubrics are very much related to the structure. The rubric number 1, which I presented, is a case focus, and where the judges will look, the opening, the challenge, the situation, the decision to make. It must be very clear where the client stands and what the client think about and what the boundaries. Quality of data, of course, we look at the background, and presentations, we look at the quality of writing, the quality of exhibits. But I also, because of it's not teaching cases, which are written for the classroom, written for one industry, which is the industry of education. These cases might have a different style of presentation based on the style of industry. And I give this, hint to people who I work with, and the cases written for RT kind of industry would look very different than cases written for like data analytics or data database, whatever, IT industries. They look differently, and they should be, because we write them to show that we understand the developing trust with the industry. We understand what the industry is and what the rules of the game. And right now, this is a summary of everything what I present about the case. And look at the structure, the challenge, the company, industry, market, situation, decision to make. This structure I do recommend to follow very much. Company, industry, and market, these 3 components can be in a different order, in any order. like following the flow, but the challenge must be at the beginning, the decision to make must be at the end, and the situation might be, you know, usually before decision to make, sometimes it goes after the company. So first and the last must be pinned, and everything within between still must be in present, but in any order. The content is right here. Rubrics, what we will pay attention to for evaluating the cases are here, and the presentation style is here. And maybe we can take a couple of minutes for you to say what's thinking about your case, what you already see that you might work on for your own case. So I pause right now, and we are not recording right now. So please, you know, whoever wants to say, please take your microphone, and we are not recording, so you feel free to say whatever you want to say. Does anybody wants to share?
Just Julia, on for the journal, are there a couple of recommended archetype, you know, consulting cases that excuse me, they're like, these are really good. These are good models to sort of follow in terms of format.
For the journal, I mean, we are first. I do have my cases, of course, you know, like I have my cases, but again, this journal, this particular journal is a pioneer, which is my huge appreciation to Steve McGuire when we discussed that, for instance, if we want more cases to be written and our master students or doctoral students want to do this, but they're not interested in being professors. Like, why would they write teaching cases? And this is what was my constant kind of complaint, that if it's not teaching cases, then why we will do this? You see how many cases we developed with my students? We published, I mean, maybe 10 in different sources, and only because they loved me and followed me. So answering to your question, I do have my examples, and in the book you can find these examples. But for the journal, we are the first who established this record. Okay. Any other case? Any other questions? Yep.
Is
please.
there a theme or a topic or a niche that you're looking for?
Very good question. For this year competition, no. Whatever you want to write, like it's you who establish your space in the market. If you're a medical field, write about medical field. If you want to establish yourself as a problem solver in quality of products, etc., this is what your voice. In future, we might have themes for competition, but not for this year.
And
Still,
sorry, can I
Mhm.
ask another one, please? What's the timeline like in terms of the publication
Yep.
flow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So after this presentation, you are on your own until January 10. January 10, it will be my last slide. January 10, you submit your case and consulting report. You already all submitted your case proposal. It was before September 20. We are done with this. Now you are working on the case and consulting report by January 10, and you submit this by January 10. In January January, you will receive from me invitation to be a peer reviewer, and we will also ask you, maybe you recommend somebody, practitioners, which would be much more useful, honestly, and I will use my connections, I will ask your connections, and actually practitioners love to be judges in consulting case competition. This is January. By somewhere mid of February, we will know our finalists, and we invite them to the conference, Western Case Academy, Western Case Writers Association conference in Canada in March, and in March we will announce winners.
What's the dates in March again? Sorry.
So please go to Western Case Writers Association,
Okay.
the website, and it's all the dates are there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so then no more questions about the case.
Well,
May I
I
ask?
got one. I got one.
Marco, yes.
Yes. So essentially the cases between the teaching cases and the consulting cases, essentially the case is the same, right? What's different is the teaching note, essentially
Yes.
the consulting report.
Yes and no. Mostly yes. Cases are very, very similar. Absolutely. More about like what information you include. We have a little bit more freedom with teaching cases because we are doing this for students. Here we are doing this for industry, and we know that our goal is for the client to trust us. So we are more, we must be objective, but maybe complementary to the company. We kind of like, again, we are practitioners working for developing trust. Very similar, but we want to learn the language of the company. We want to learn the language of the industry. We want to speak like industry people. This is what I'm trying to say. We want to speak their story as their biographers. We are biographers of the company, of the market, and otherwise the structure is exactly the same. Yeah, very similar.
Yeah,
So the,
I'm developing a couple of different entrepreneurship cases, and I have my students working on this. So it's 3 different companies or 3 different cases that we're developing.
Perfect.
And there's really these are smaller players, smaller entrepreneurial companies. Do you have a point towards the industry research if you don't have 10K annual reports and all that available?
No, absolutely, yes, very welcomed. Because as we know, entrepreneurs usually don't do like 10K research, etc. Your real client is real, they live in their world, and we describe that we work for them. So we still need industry data. They want to know who is the competitors, what are market growing, not growing. We want to know all the data, what they need. But absolutely not. You don't have to do for 10K, for this data. Absolutely not.
No,
My
I was
students,
just
still, yeah, and I love entrepreneurial cases because this is what students love writing because they want to develop their own companies. And actually they write entrepreneurship cases, consulting cases, to be known around investors and to get seed money for their own idea, how they place themselves here. So, yeah, absolutely
I
fine.
was in particular asking in your experience with writing these 240 cases, is there certain, how do you, for these smaller entrepreneurial companies where industry data is not readily available? I mean, I know the obvious choices would be try to find industry organizations that publish about the state of the industry and all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, is there any repository of data that you can suggest that you came across that this is always a good starting point or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly because right now I work for my MBA class and there are 6 cases right now in my MBA class. And I said, like, yeah, you want to establish yourself in the industry, do your homework. And yes, I think what professional journals you can find. For instance, in a healthcare, this is a professional journals. In a supply chain, they were very good. I must say that they know how to find their data, but it's publicly available data. And you also use library of your own university. Yeah, so I don't see any problem with this. Yeah, can we go through my second part because we have 15 minutes left and it's the second part which is different, and I can stay with you as much as you want after this. Okay, so I resume recording. Okay. So second part is a consulting manual, or I call this consulting report. You see, so it's a blue color right here because our goal is to generate value, to prove that we are the ones who know what we are doing, and we know how to solve the problem and how to connect the dots and how to make sense of data and how to provide solution. So the overview again, this is the structure on your left. And actually, I copy paste the structure from the journal. So you can find exactly the same structure in the Journal of Case Research and Inquiry, and I will go through each of these points. But I also put again the picture of yin and yang because the structure and the rubrics are very much related. You see the rigor is the rubric number 1. So we look here how well the case writer consultant converted the story of the challenge to the synopsis. How well they can use their professional language to understand what's going on here, what's the underlying problem, what am I trying to solve. And this is where the first we tried to generate value. And methodology, if you look at this structure, this point number 3 and point number 5, they both are research methods and conceptual foundation. So synopsis, research methods, and conceptual foundation, this is where you pay attention to prove your rigor, that you are, that your students are very smart and they don't speak everyday language of these entrepreneurs, for instance, as a market example, but they know how to think about this as professionals. The next rubric of the logic, and of course it goes all about case analysis. In our structure, it's point number 6. And how this case analysis makes sense of the data, applying framework, and how well you present the summary of the findings. And rubric number 3, relevance of recommendation, and it's more about practicality, action-focused recommendation, and action-oriented, and what value for the client, and how well it answers the question of the case. You remember that the last sentence of the case was the question I want to answer, and this is where we provide the answers, how we present it. And this is different from teaching case, because when we work on the teaching case, of course, we provide class discussion, learning objectives, and then we go through question after questions as we discuss the case in the class. Like, let's discuss this, let's discuss this, let's discuss this, which is very different what is here. However, the information is very, very kind of close. It's just placed differently and with different goal of to prove that we generate value. Again, our clients are not students, our client or not other professors. Our client is our client. We work for this client and industry who can learn from this case. So synopsis, you see, so it's the beginning of the consulting report. And can anybody say like what you see first in this picture? Can you type it right now? What you can see first? First. Superman. Bird. Airplane. Bird. I see heart. And this is exactly what we first establish ourselves as professionals, and we teach our students to establish as professionals, because in every case, different professionals can see different issue, underlying problem or dilemma they want to solve. And of course, it's a mirror of the case challenge. So as you can see in my picture, we work on the red color, but we looked at our challenge statement from the case, but also how we elucidate our own core, how we defined who we are as professionals. And we're trying to bring this all together. So synopsis, it's a kind of summary of what was in the case, but brought together in a professional language. As I say to my to my students or to myself, if I present this case in a professional conference, in the industry conference, what language I'm going to use in a professional conference, or in my maybe interview as a job candidate for the company, how I would define this case. And after this, we provide up to 10 keywords. Again, it's a requirement of the journal, which again, for me, it's a very strategic way, because this is where we put our stamp, who we are, and the nature of the challenge, industry, market, location of United States. And I recommend to be very strategic, to define, let's say, for instance, market. We can say market as Ukraine, or we can start the country under the war. We can say emerging economy, or we can say state-controlled economy, or we can say just a country. Like, it's up to us how we define, and this is how we establish our space as professionals. And industry as well. It might be hospitality industry, it might be professional service firm, company, etc. So we control what keywords we put there. But I think it would be, yes, for our case to be searched well in the journal, but also to be searched for the area of we control as our area of expertise. So methodology, and my questions, like when you look at this guy of working on this sophisticated equipment, what is again, what is the feeling, I would say, you feel like when you see that this doctor right here, what the message we are saying? Can anybody type? Okay, I hoped you will write here that the message of we are ready to solve the problem. And we are eager because we collect data using like 10 different sources, databases, answering the Marcus questions. Like, this is them who claim, students claim that research methods of how I collected data included 10 interviews, also big data analysis of, or, you know, we use big data analysis methods to understand what, you know, for instance, what people write in social media about this or that products category, and also databases of Statista and industry data and professional journal this, professional journal that, etc. So when they write this not because professor wants them, but because they want to show the client that it's not, you know, childish student paper. They show that they are very thorough on working with data. And again, answering your question, Mark, you know, like sometimes it depends on the case, but like one of my students, they were writing about actually my company, about BH, and I wanted them to understand what triggered people, what triggered international students to join BH Center for Global Talents. And they collected data through analyzing data from social media, anonymous social media amounts, markets about international students. So they did join their own networks, my Indian students, my Chinese students, these students, and they did data analysis, and it was amazing data what they collected. So no 10K, and it was data very much relevant to my case, because it was not a strategy case. Strategy case would be more about industry growth, about, you know, 5 forces, etc., etc. For the framework, it also shows that we have a toolbox. We collected all the data, but data is so massive right now. It's not a problem to collect data. The problem to make sense of data. And they must define their frameworks, what measures they're going to use. And in my cases, I very often use parallel with doctors. Like, okay, they can measure whatever they measure They can have your, blood test, this test, but the point is like what the rubrics they are going to look through on your data to understand what works well and what doesn't work well. And in my book, again, I provide recommendations of 3 different sources of framework. And in our classes, obviously, we use more well-known, SWOT to toast, 5 forces, industry life cycle, etc., etc., etc. But especially for practitioners, or for instance, like I was very impressed with Connie presentation, what you, Connie, do right now. Maybe you don't need this kind of well-known frameworks. You can use your own specialized frameworks. And in my last class, I had several MBA students who already one of them already PhD in microbiology, and another one works in approval of drugs and regulations area. So they had their own frameworks. And I said, like, good for you, as long as you have reference for these frameworks from your professional journals. And this is what they applied. And of course, I do not recommend for students, but for us professionals, we can actually develop a framework for particular case. And I did this in past when I worked in the country where like none of the frameworks I knew really fitted. And together with the client, I developed the frameworks. I do not recommend this, but if you have unique challenge or context, it's one of the options. And again, you can find more about this in my book. But even if you follow the last one, customized framework, it's just more work, but it's exactly what we did in our PhDs, right? So I developed a framework for my PhD of how to develop donor commitment for nonprofit organizations in a high trust environment. And then for other nonprofit organizations, and if I work with the challenge of how to, raise funds and generate donor commitment, I use my own framework, but I refer to something. I have to prove this, that it's a framework. It's not, something what you can find in YouTube in every single kind of wisdom piece. So these are 2 parts are small, and I say like the synopsis and methodology together goes like in one page and a little bit more, because it's mostly reference of to the framework and like listing of how we collected data. Again, how we collected data, we just need a listing, like, okay, and we use primary data, 5 interviews, 5 this, 10 this, etc., and how secondary data, just like list of whatever frameworks, whatever sources they used. But the larger part, of course, case analysis and recommendations. And again, this is what they must prove, that their report is worth to paying for. Because I tell them that the first part, it's actually free. You write this to develop trust and you give them to the client, and the client must approve, and it doesn't cost money. This is your story. But for the second part, I tell them like, hey, don't give it for free. You are your consultants, and it must be proof of your value. So case analysis have 3 parts. The first is the problem statement, where we again define, once again, we take this from synopsis, but in a very like short sentence. It's like, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to look at the data I collected in the case through the framework of this and see where we have matches and where we have gaps. For instance, if we use gap analysis. Then the largest part, it's actually data analysis. And it will be different for different types of challenges. And challenge problems, I usually recommend to do cause-effect analysis, heat map, gap analysis, because we don't know even what we usually compare the real situation with the desired situation. This is what we do in a case challenge problem. Challenge dilemma, it's easier because we compare one option and another option. And this is pure comparative analysis, market A and market B, through whatever frameworks we want, through PESTEL, or through 5 forces, or whatever we believe is the right framework, but we have one market, another market, perfecta, or one candidate, another candidate for the job, and we compare through the same KSA, human capital matrices, whatever matrices we have. And the last one's challenge project. It's any project management approaches. It might be SWOT to TOWS. We made SWOT for these companies, and we see matches of opportunities and strengths, and we convert this to TOWS, and the matches shows us the avenue that we recommend to the company, or any recommendations for the industry. But it's very, very important at the end to provide visual summary of the findings, because our clients, again, are not students, they're practitioners. They want to see like, so what? And these are examples from my students who provide summary of whatever their loan case analysis. For instance, the first small visuals is they provide summary of comparison, the market of Quebec, the market of Miami, and the market of Toronto. And they see what is the similarity, what is the deal breaker, and kind of you can see that one of them, Toronto, is just no deal breakers and much more positives. And of course, it was for the challenge dilemma. Heat map is an amazing summary for any challenge problem. And again, it might be like whatever visuals, but clients love have like something kind of so what from the case analysis. And the last example of this, it's a comparison of how to enter the new market entry mode, export, wholly owned subsidiary, or licensing. And again, we did comparison through the rubrics, what our client asked us, and this is the summary. But it's each of them had special part in analysis, and we went through the rubrics of market, how market will react on this or that market entry. So this is the largest part. It's more like similar to what we did in PhDs, and it's somehow resemble question, like in our teaching manual, questions, answers, question, answers, questions, answers, but we have one question, problem. And then we have thorough analysis, and then one answer. So this is what case analysis is. And the last one, of course, case recommendations. Again, our goal is to generate value. That's why we always start with the main recommendations. Again, this is the difference with teaching manual, because the client asks us very specific question. Should I go to this market? I shouldn't go to the market. How do I raise this? Who do I do this? Etc., etc. They ask us in the case very specific question, and it was the end of the case. We start our recommendation with a like absolutely clear answer to this main question, and I call this main recommendation. And it's provide, we kind of say like, do this. And this is example of what we did in the Kyivstar case. And they say like, okay, the market of Moldova provides the company Kyivstar with stronger match of opportunities matching to Kyivstar strengths than the market of Bulgaria. Very, very clear answer. Then, of course, it's a very kind of high-level answer. And then you need sub-recommendations which describes this, like how you market entry mode, global strategy, position strategy, global HR, whatever you feel, you need sub-recommendations to make your main recommendation work. And it's useful always to include implementation, which might be organizational changes in organizational structure, action plan, budget, HR solution, whatever you believe is relevant for your case. So these three components I strongly recommend, but inside you do whatever is you found on your, of course, case analysis. It must come, main recommendation, always come from these visuals. You see, this visual showed us that in this, Venn diagram, one option is better. This is our main recommendations. Or heat map showed us that the last column is more green than any other. Okay, maybe we recommend this one. Or licensing in the last example, licensing is like visually much better than exporting and wholly owned subsidiary. So this would be our main recommendation. But of course, to make it happen, we recommend much more. And I recommend to write our recommendations as a first kind of the title, which is kind of like, okay, we recommend this as a title kind of your recommendation. And then you provide one paragraph where you connect your recommendation with two case analysis and you show why you recommended this, and you kind of use maybe sometimes data from your case, and you maybe like magnified some data what you found, and you say like considering this and that, these are dots matching into this recommendation from your case analysis. And this is all about case consulting report or consulting manual. Any questions about this before I move to the last? It's how we submit this. Yes, Connie, and I just put on pause. Okay, so please ask question. Connie, you're mute. You're mute.
So I have three quick ones. Are you using only business, or do you include NGOs, not-for-profits, and other organizations?
Yes, yes, and yes. I include all of them. I have it's like exactly like who is your client? I had very good case written by my students from what is this, master in so she learned how to be political science and diplomat, something like this, global affairs. And the case was how to help Colombians to invest in the living abroad in America, to invest their money back to Colombia. So she reached out the congresswoman in Colombia. And she said, like, I am a master student from Northeastern University. I am thrilled to participate in consulting case, making your consulting case competition, because I'm driven with the, dream to become, to work with in the politics and government, and I'm Colombian. Would you please give me interview? And this is a topic I am driven with. And the whole case was about bringing this money back to, which was government. Non-profit, it's a very popular case, absolutely very popular. So whatever is yours.
The second question, and I'm sorry to take up space, but if we publish with this, where does the copyright lay? Because if we're selling it to the company and we're publishing it in the journal, is the journal taking copyright, or are we retaining it? Where does that lie with the company? Because they paid for it.
Well, this is a good question, because we're doing for the, I do this for free. I'm doing this because this is for me is investment. And I tell students, if you want to put investment, you do something for free until you build trust. So the first one you do, if you want to publish, I would recommend do it for free. Or if you want to publish and the company wants to publish, then the company is very interested in making this case published, because it's for them, it's a PR, public relations, brand, etc. Or if you do it for company, for money, then I just don't publish this unless the company wants this. This is what I do.
I'm talking specifically about the consulting report.
It's a good question. So let's talk with the journal. I don't know that. I don't have an answer right now.
Okay.
or in the same regard, can we use the same case to publish it as a consulting case and to publish it as a teaching case with a completely different set of teaching notes and everything? Can we double dip on this and get an
Very
academic
good.
certification?
I
And
love this. I love the idea. Once again, we are pioneers. We are setting the rules. I love this. And what I love about this journal is that the editor, Stephen McGuire, is very open to any innovative ideas. I think case plus 2 manuals, why not? It might be the good option. How I use consulting cases in my classes as a final project, not for the case discussions, but for the final project when they write their own cases as a final project. This is what I use. I love your idea. We can discuss this with the journal. It's beyond my right now. So, but it's a very good questions. Let's keep working on this. And Connie, your last question is, yes, number 3 question is.
In your yellow piece at the bottom, I just wondered if it was correct or if there's another journal from JRRI Consulting
It's my
Recommendation.
typo, absolutely. No,
Okay.
It's the
No.
same journal. It's my typo.
I just wasn't sure if you had another recommendation
No.
for it. Okay.
No, it's my typo. I will correct this. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all good? And okay, so resume. And how we submit this, again, it's almost a copy paste from GC, not almost, but it's a copy paste from GCRI journal because I didn't want any contradiction or any confusion. You submit right now to me, maybe later we will develop different avenues, submission, etc. Right now, as far as I understand, you submit to the chair of the competition, which is me, and you submit 2 forms, and it's all on the website. Please look it up what submission form is. It's mostly your contact, your names, all the authors, and you submit this as a Word document, and very often it's also synopsis here, so it's a very one-shot document, but the case and the consulting manual goes as a one document, as Word, and this is how it's written. And I usually, in my practice, I ask students to put all, and I do in my cases, to put all exhibits at the end. However, I found today that the journal wants you to include exhibits inside of the case, and I'm not going to argue with this. So the rules of the game, we include all illustration in the case where it should be, and we follow the formatting what's recommended by the journal because we want to publish it there and we want to be consistent. Only 2 files, everything inside, and the case is written in a past tense, consulting manual is written in a present tense. Okay. And is what I already answered the Connie's question. By the way, Connie, these are the dates. So January 10 submission. After January 10, you all receive from me question. Maybe you have somebody practitioners in your field who you want to recommend. Again, it would be very good because we will then invite judges and praise judges, and it's also very good for your own social capital inside of the industry. If you know, like, names in the industry, they love doing this. And we don't it's not so much burden for them. They usually receive 2 cases, very clear form, and they just read the case and they answer the questions. It takes them like 30 minutes, maybe per case. But so far, I've never received any no from my own resources. So I'm very much relying on you for us to build our database of judges, and as more practitioners, as better. But we also will be reviewers together with the judges. February decision and invitation and award ceremony in British Columbia. And this is resources if you want to keep working on this. So if you are experienced case writers, you don't need anything but WCLA and GCRRI instructions. They already there, and these are links. If you click here and here, but again, it's all on their website. I'm just scared that it will give me somewhere, but it's a links on their website. Go there, you will find all the instructions. Let's just follow instructions. If you are the beginners in case writing and you really need more help, I did develop these 2 courses, which again, I use in my BH Center for Global Talents as a stage 3, when especially international master students, they are hungry, desperate to having their own references in the local market. They want to enter American market. They're from India, they're engineers, they need it. So this is what they are doing. So they develop the company case, the first part for developing trust, and the pay they receive for this, reference letters and connections with the industry. We ask our clients if they accept to work with our master students. They promise us to provide reference letters to each author if they like the case, and a minimum of 3 connections in the industry, what they recommend, and they love it. And for consulting report, again, the major pay they receive as a portfolio piece. They bring this to their interview, and they show that they have experience for local company, but also for career changers, people in the middle of their careers. They worked long in one area, they want to move to another area, and for them it's also a very valuable piece of portfolio. For this kind of beginners, I develop the courses. So if you are interested, let me know. And of course, my book is like really, it's a manual. It's a manual that you or your students can follow, like step by step of writing this. And I guess this is all. And please ask me any questions, which I stop recording. Okay, I'm stopping.